Hi, my name is Lucas, and I'm going to be helping you guys with problem number 15. So it says, suppose 508 consecutive positive integers have the property that the first and the last one are both perfect squares. List all possible values for the first of the 508 values. So the first thing I did was I tried to make an equation that would help me to find, or help me to understand the problem. And you can see that here. I made one, but I realized it was wrong because it says to have the property that the first and the last are both perfect squares. So, the first value is a perfect square, and then you have to add 508 because it says suppose that 508 consecutive positive integers are in the middle of this and this, right? But this counts as one of the numbers. So the formula actually ends up being, n squared plus 507 instead. And for whatever you guys have, if your number in the problem says like 726, then, your equation would be n squared plus 725 equals m squared. And the m squared is just that other squared term that we're looking at and looking to solve for. So then I took that and brought it here, so subtract n squared over, so that we could get something that we can factor, this m squared minus n squared. And I'm sure you guys have seen this before in previous problems. So we have this 507 equals this factored set here. And then I realized that I should probably get the prime factorization of this 507. And I did that, I just divided it by 3 just because of the rule. I don't know if you guys know this, but like when you have a number and you add up all of the numbers, so 5 plus 0 plus 7, if that number is divisible by 3, then the whole number is divisible by 3. So 5 plus 7 is 12, and 12 divided by 3 is 4. So I knew it was going to be divisible by 3. So I got that, and I did 169, and then 3 times 169, and then 169, it turns into 13 times 13. So we have 3 to the first and 13 to the second. So the way that the problem works, we're going to need to figure out the different multiples that we can make out of this. So something times something equals the 507. And the whole point of us figuring this out is so that we could figure it out easier. So obviously we know the first thing we could do is 1 times 507, and we could just get that by multiplying all of that together and then multiplying it by 1. And that's the first one. And then we could take the 3 times 169, which is 13 squared. Or we could take 3 times 13, which is the 39, multiplied by 13. The reason why I have all the smaller numbers first is because you'll see once we get down to the equations that we're going to need to put the smaller numbers first. So we're going to have this. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to set these numbers equal to these two parts of the equation, okay? And you always want to set the smaller number equal to the m minus n part, because just think about it logically. If you have m plus n and m minus n, if n is some number, the smaller number should, go here, because if n is any positive number, which it has to be, then it would make the m smaller. So you always want to plug the smaller number there. And then what you're going to do is you're just going to combine them across. You get 2m, and the n's cancel, and you get 508, right? And then you're just solving for m. So then you divide by 2, and you get m is equal to 254. You plug that back into the top equation or the bottom, doesn't matter. And then, or actually, I guess just plug it into the top one, because then you'll get 254 minus n equals 1, and you subtract 1 over, and then you add n to the other side, you'll get n is equal to 253, right? So if we have n equals, and that's just the first of the choices, and then, you have to do all 3 of these scenarios, which I have out. Same process. I'm not going to get into all this detail, but, you do the same thing again. Make the smaller number equal this one. Solve for m. Plug n back into the first equation. You get another n value. Third one, same thing. Get another n value, right? And then you have all of your n values, right? But the n values are not the answer, because the answer asks for the first of the 580 values, so we have to give the values, all these values, right? But we have to square them, because the way that the problem, it asks for list all possible values for the first of the 580 values. So it's asking for the first one. So the first one would be, this would be this number, so it would be n squared, not just n. Because, if you added n plus 507, you're not going to get that. It has to be, so basically we just square all these values, And yeah, that's just the way you would type it into WebWork. Because I mean, I talked to Dr. Sanchez, and she said you need to like do 253 times 253. You know, that's just kind of tedious. So you could just type in WebWork 13 squared, 83 squared, and 253 squared, and that's your answer. Thank you.